At Lydia's birthday party, I lost a game. Her male assistant laughed as he announced the punishment. Go date a street punk girl for one day. The kind where you at least have to kiss. The whole room burst into laughter. I didn't respond. I looked at Lydia instead. She took a casual sip of her drink. A bet is a bet. Dominic, she said coolly. You're not trying to weasel out, are you? I smiled. Fine. But one day doesn't really feel like enough. If I'm going to date someone, I might as well date her for a lifetime. Chapter 1. I took out my phone and, in front of everyone, posted on a social media app. Millennial old guy looking to be toyed with by a street punk girl. Online now. Urgent. The attached photo was my Porsche key. The noisy laughter in the private room died instantly. Lydia's fingers tightened around her wine glass, the knuckles turning pale. That glamorous, radiant face of hers collapsed in an instant. Domi, what are you doing? She asked. Phineas immediately put on his trademark fake smile and stepped forward to smooth things over. It's just a game, he said lightly. A joke. Why take it so seriously? As long as everyone's having fun, right? But as he spoke, the corner of his eye unconsciously flicked toward Lydia. The suppressed whispers around us began to buzz like flies. Dominic really can't take a joke. Exactly. He's obviously jealous, putting on airs just to make a point to Lydia. A grown man being this petty, doesn't he know where he is? Probably because President Lin has been getting close to Phineas lately. He can't handle it. He brought this on himself. President Lin hates people who blur personal and professional boundaries. I listened to these shameless comments and sneered inwardly. They had no idea that today wasn't just Lydia Lin's birthday. It was also the 5th anniversary of the day we met. And next month, on the 1st, was the wedding date we had already set. Phineas and Lydia were high school classmates. 3 months ago, after he returned to the country, Lydia personally recruited him into the company under the excuse that the company needs fresh blood. Ever since he became her male assistant, my relationship with Lydia had slowly gone sour. Phineas was extremely good at ingratiating himself. On his first day at work, he brought coffee for the entire office and greeted everyone enthusiastically. He always appeared at exactly the right moment when Lydia needed something, handing her the precise document she was looking for, voicing the exact opinion she wanted to hear. He had a sweet tongue and knew how to flatter people, winning over Lydia's colleagues and close friends alike. Compared to him, I, cold by nature and bad at socializing, stood out as awkward and out of place. On the surface, he always called me Brother Domi, respectful and humble, but the smile never reached his eyes. He would casually bring up anecdotes from his and Lydia's school days. When Lydia was overwhelmed with work, he'd use nostalgic topics to help her relax. Then he'd throw me a look that seemed apologetic but was actually provocative. Lydia's attitude toward me shifted as well, from normal at first, to a gaze tinged with comparison. She would beam over some trivial joke from Phineas, yet brush off the dinner reservations I had carefully planned. She listened patiently to Phineas's blatantly exaggerated flattery, but when I tried to talk about our future, she cut me off with, "I'm too tired from work." Just like now, facing my actions, Lydia only looked at me coldly. The love that once filled her eyes had been replaced by impatience, and even disgust. "Dominic," she finally said, "delete the post. Don't embarrass yourself here." Phineas immediately echoed her words. "Yeah, Brother Domi. Hurry up and delete it. It's President Lin's birthday today, don't ruin the mood." He reached out to pat my shoulder, but I sidestepped him. I looked straight at Lydia. "I'm embarrassing myself. Didn't you tell me to accept the loss like a man?" Phineas's expression flickered. He quickly forced a smile. "Brother Domi, I was just saying it offhand, joking around. Why are you taking it so seriously?" "A joke." I cut him off. "Some jokes, if you keep telling them long enough, turn into reality. Just like some people, after pretending for long enough, start to believe they're actually someone important." Chapter 2. The implication in my words was obvious. Phineas's smile froze completely, a trace of malice flashing through his eyes. The murmurs around us grew louder, tinged with the thrill of people eager to watch a scene unfold. "Damn, this is getting ugly. Did Dominic take gunpowder today or something? He's probably been holding it in for too long, but stirring things up like this, he's just pushing President Lin away." Lydia Lin took a deep breath, clearly suppressing her anger. "Dominic," she said, "I'll say this one last time. Delete the post." Then apologized to Phineas. With a cold laugh, I picked up my phone and, under everyone's gaze, added another line beneath the post. "Note, not a joke. Sincerely looking in it for a lifetime." Then I turned the screen toward them. I clearly saw Lydia's pupils shrink violently, her expression shifting from dark to ashen. "I accept that I lost the game. I accept the punishment. As for apologizing," my gaze swept past the diamond ring on Lydia's ring finger, the one I had saved a full year's salary to buy. Back when she first put it on, she had smiled so happily. "I refuse." Sensing the tension, others hurried forward to smooth things over. Lydia's chest rose and fell. She shot me a vicious glare before finally forcing her anger down. no longer mentioning deleting the post or demanding an apology. When it came time to cut the cake, the atmosphere became especially delicate. Lydia picked up the knife and scanned the crowd, deliberately avoiding me. Who stood closest? Phineas. Come help me. Phineas immediately stepped forward. My honor. President Lin. He stood beside Lydia Lin, shoulder to shoulder, the two of them gripping the cake knife together. Their movements were intimate, their faces nearly touching. Applause and teasing cheers erupted around them. I stood there, watching coldly, like an outsider observing someone else's story. After Lydia made her wish and blew out the candles, Phineas took a small velvet box from his pocket. He opened it. Inside was a platinum bracelet encrusted with tiny diamonds. Lily, happy birthday. He deliberately used the intimate nickname. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried clearly to everyone nearby. I ordered this bracelet in France last month. I hope you like it. A radiant smile bloomed instantly on Lydia's face. Phineas, you put so much thought into this. As long as it's from you, I love it. She directly slipped off the translucent emerald green jade bangle from her wrist and casually placed it on the nearby table. The motion was as careless as discarding an unnecessary object. That bangle had been personally handed to her by my mother before she passed away, our family's heirloom, meant for the future daughter-in-law. Come on, help me put it on. Lydia extended her wrist toward Phineas, her tone carrying a hint of coquettish softness. Phineas carefully took out the sparkling bracelet and gently fastened it around Lydia's slender wrist. His fingertips brushed her skin ever so lightly. They exchanged a smile. Wow, it's gorgeous. It's so sparkly, such a unique design. Yeah, way prettier than that old-fashioned bangle just now. Exactly, this one actually matches President Lin's vibe and wrist. Assistant Phineas has such great taste, so thoughtful. Praise rose one after another, each word like an invisible slap, landing crisply across my face. Expressionless, I walked over. While everyone's attention was still fixed on the new bracelet, I reached out and picked up the jade bangle. The noise quieted slightly. Many eyes turned toward me, curious and eager for drama. Lydia noticed my movement too, her brows knitting faintly. I held the bangle firmly in my palm, raised my eyes, and looked at Lydia calmly. My voice wasn't loud, but it cut cleanly through the remaining noise. Since this old-fashioned bangle isn't worthy of President Lin anymore, then it should go back to its original owner, back to my mother. The private room fell deathly silent. Lydia parted her lips, as if wanting to say something, but no sound came out. She probably hadn't expected me to be so direct, especially to bring up my mother. A flicker of darkness crossed Phineas's eyes before he smiled again. Brother Domi, was that really necessary? Lydia was just trying on the new bracelet. Why are you getting worked up over a bangle? Today's her birthday. Wouldn't it be better if everyone just stayed happy? I'm not getting worked up, I replied calmly. Since she doesn't want it anymore, I'm taking it back, so my mother's goodwill doesn't go to waste. Chapter 3. After saying that, I no longer paid attention to the colorful expressions on their faces. I carefully slipped the jade bangle into the inner pocket of my coat, then turned and walked away. Behind me came Lydia's sharp, mocking laugh. Take it back then. You really think I care about that piece of junk? Old and tacky, I wouldn't want it even if you gave it to me for free. It'd just hurt my wrist. Phineas hurried after me and grabbed my arm, lowering his voice but still loud enough for nearby people to hear. Domi, don't act on impulse. President Lin is just saying that out of anger. If you walk away like this, things are really going to blow up. I violently shook his hand off. The force was strong enough to make him stagger half a step. The mask of fake concern on his face nearly cracked. Phineas, spare me. I shot him a cold glance. You're overacting. Lydia's voice cut sharply through the air. Phineas, don't bother with him. Let him go. I didn't look back as I left that suffocating private room. Outside the hotel, the night wind carried a chill. I leaned against my car and lit a cigarette. Only when the nicotine filled my lungs did the tightness in my chest ease a little. My phone vibrated. Someone had replied on social media. I opened it without even looking at the photos they sent. I shared my location. Come over now. I'll wait. In less than 20 minutes, a girl pulled up on a shared electric scooter and stopped by the roadside. She jogged over and asked tentatively, Brother Domi, is that you? I'm Jane. I looked her over. Classic street punk girl style. Short skirt, tight top, dyed hair, heavy eye makeup. But surprisingly, there was a hint of timidity in her eyes, and her voice was quite gentle. I stubbed out my cigarette. Let's go. I'll take you somewhere. Jane followed obediently. Sitting in the passenger seat, she looked a bit stiff, careful not to touch anything. I drove to a bar nearby that I frequented, not ultra-luxury, but decent enough. We took a booth. I ordered her a beer and got myself a cola. She took small sips, not talking much, occasionally sneaking a glance at me. She had just started to speak when a familiar wave of noisy voices came from the entrance. I looked up and sneered inwardly, persistent as a bad smell. Lydia, Phineas, and the whole group from the private room filed in grandly. Phineas was leaning close to Lydia's ear, whispering something that finally coaxed a smile onto her face. They soon spotted me, and Jane sitting beside me. Lydia's steps halted. The smile on her face froze instantly, then slowly sank away. Her gaze was like a blade dipped in ice, slashing at me before landing on Jane. A flash of excitement crossed Phineas's eyes, vanishing just as quickly as he switched to perfectly timed surprise and concern. Well, if it isn't Domi. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried far enough for nearby booths to hear. So fast, you already got yourself hooked up with a street punk girl. He deliberately stressed the word hooked up, drawing a wave of snickers from the people behind him. His gaze swept over the girl across from me like he was appraising merchandise, a sneer curling at his lips. Seriously, Domi, even if you're mad at President Lin, there's no need to degrade yourself like this, right? Compared to President Lin, this kind of girl is worlds apart, heaven and dirt. He shook his head with a sigh, looking deeply pained. Fine if you're just fooling around, but don't take it too seriously. Be careful you don't catch something nasty, ruin your whole life. The words were vicious and cruel. Jane's body stiffened abruptly beside me. She lowered her head even further. Her fingers gripping the glass turned white. Assistant Phineas is right. A woman who always sucked up to Lydia immediately chimed in, scanning Jane from head to toe with a critical look. Just look at how she dresses. That vibe. Clearly not a respectable woman. Dominic, when did your taste get this bad? Another man snorted. Exactly. She's not even worthy of carrying President Lin's shoes. Dominic, aren't you just deliberately slapping President Lin in the face? Guess he's gone full self-destruct mode, can't get the best, so he picks the worst. So pathetic. Chapter 4. They spoke one after another. Their voices weren't loud, yet every word was barbed. Phineas stood among them, smiling faintly, seemingly trying to mediate. All right, everyone say a little less. Brother Domi probably just lost his head for a moment. Lydia kept her face cold the entire time. Her chin was slightly raised, as if she were watching a farce that had nothing to do with her. Only her tightly pressed lips and the anger surging in her eyes betrayed her true emotions. She probably felt that me being with a girl like this was a massive insult to her. I ignored the buzzing noise around me like flies, took a sip of my cola, then looked at Phineas. Finished? Phineas's smile didn't change. Domi, don't misunderstand. We're doing this for your own good. For my own good. I cut him off, my gaze shifting past him to the arrogant woman beside him. Lydia, keep your dog on a leash. The dog barks too loudly. I find it annoying. Lydia's expression changed abruptly. Phineas's smile froze, but he quickly covered it up and sighed. Dominic, how can you speak to President Lin like that? I didn't look at him again. Instead, I turned to Jane, who had been keeping her head lowered the whole time. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. I couldn't tell whether it was fear or anger. Lydia shot me a cold glance, the corner of her lips curling into a mocking smile. Don't bother these two dogs anymore. Let's go drink. She turned around, and Phineas immediately followed, his arm hovering possessively behind her waist. The group surrounded them and moved toward a large booth that had been reserved not far away. Amid the music, Phineas's gaze still drifted over from time to time, carrying an undisguised, sinister smile. I couldn't be bothered with him. Jane, call all your friends over. As many as you can. Tonight's on me. Jane froze for a moment and looked up at me, uncertainty in her eyes. I nodded. Only then did she take out her phone and start typing. Before long, the entrance of the bar became lively. Groups of young women appeared one after another. Each was dressed differently, but all were boldly styled, vivid in color and attitude. They found our booth and squeezed in, laughing and chatting. The once spacious seating area was instantly filled. Jane, is this the handsome guy you were talking about? A girl with bright pink hair leaned in, openly sizing me up. Another girl in a crop top chimed in. Not bad at all. Sis, you got lucky, he really is handsome. They were easygoing and bold, ordering drinks on their own without needing to be prompted, rolling dice, playing games, swaying their bodies to the music. Their laughter was crisp and infectious. The slightly dull atmosphere was instantly ignited, turning loud and full of life. Before long, the energy on our side clearly overshadowed Lydia's group. Laughter, the clatter of dice cups, and occasional cheers blended together. Even guests from other booths began glancing our way. Phineas looked over several times, his expression unreadable. Lydia, on the other hand, kept her back to us the entire time, her posture rigidly straight, never once turning around. I played a few rounds of dice with them, drinking cola whenever I lost, listening to their absurd, light-hearted stories, occasionally chiming in myself. In this simple, even somewhat noisy environment, I felt a sense of ease and happiness I hadn't experienced in years. By the time we wrapped up, it was already deep into the night. I paid the bill and left with Jane. In the parking lot, enemies crossed paths again. Lydia and Phineas had just come out as well and were standing beside their car. Lydia's gaze landed on Jane and me. She let out a cold laugh, the contempt in her tone almost tangible. Dominic, you're really efficient. What? First meeting and you're already rushing off to book a room? Phineas stood beside her without speaking. He just watched us, a faint curve of anticipation at the corner of his mouth. I opened the car door and let Jane get in first. Only then did I turn to Lydia, a careless smile on my face. Why not? Before she could react, I got into the driver's seat, shut the door, and started the engine. The car pulled smoothly out of the parking lot. In the rearview mirror, Lydia stood frozen in place, her face twisted under the dim lights. I didn't go home. Instead, I checked into a nearby 5-star hotel. 2 adjacent rooms, king beds. Jane froze for a moment and glanced at me in surprise, but she didn't say anything, just stood quietly to the side. After the check-in was done, I handed her one of the key cards. Get some rest early. She took it and softly said, "Thank you." I nodded, and we each went into our own room. After showering and lying down on the bed, my phone screen lit up in the darkness. Phineas had posted a new update. There was only one photo, shot from above. He was shirtless, leaning against a headboard, one arm wrapped around a drunken woman. All the worldly warmth I crave, every bit of it is you. I finally waited for you. Thank God I didn't give up. The woman's face was censored, her long hair cascading down, but that side profile, and the familiar background, I recognized it instantly. It was Lydia, and they were in the master bedroom of the marital home I had personally designed. I smiled calmly, liked the post, and left a comment. Since the mood's already set, why not go register your marriage tomorrow? Chapter 5. Early the next morning, I left Jane a sum of money. I also found a hotel notepad and wrote just a few words. You're a good girl. Try to find a proper job in the future. Don't degrade yourself anymore. When I returned to the company, whispers followed me everywhere. That's him. He really went to a hotel with a street punk girl last night. He looks decent on the surface, but he's actually shameless. President Lin must have been blind. Working with someone like that is such bad luck. I treated it all as background noise, drafted a resignation letter, and headed straight for the president's office. Lydia was sitting behind the large desk. Her makeup was flawless, but it couldn't hide the fatigue and irritation lingering in her eyes. When she saw me, she clearly froze for a moment. What is it? I placed the document on the desk in front of her. I'm resigning. Lydia's pupils shrank slightly. She picked up the letter, skimmed it quickly, then suddenly looked up at me, as if she'd just heard something utterly ridiculous. Resigning? Dominic, what do you mean by this? Just because of what happened yesterday? It doesn't mean anything. I met her gaze calmly. I'm just tired. I want a break. Her voice shot up. Dominic, don't play this game with me. All this over a joke at a birthday party. Over Phineas? You're really that fragile? She stood up, her finger nearly stabbing into the resignation letter. 5 years. You've been at the company for 5 years. Yes, 5 years. Since the day we made our relationship official, I had given the best 5 years of my youth, every ounce of talent and energy I had, without reservation, to the Lin Group. I had single-handedly helped lift it from a second-rate company to its current, well-regarded status in the industry. I gave it my all, believing I was building our future. And what did I get in return? The Lin Group doesn't need me anymore, I said flatly. As for why, you know better than I do. I don't know. Lydia Lin suddenly crumpled the resignation letter into a ball and hurled it to the floor. I don't agree, Dominic. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. This is childish. At that moment, the office door was pushed open without warning. Several uniformed police officers walked in, their expressions serious. The one in front showed his badge, his sharp gaze locking onto me. Are you Dominic? A flicker of surprise crossed my mind, but my expression remained unchanged. I am. We've received a report accusing you of suspected rape. Please come with us and cooperate with the investigation. The cold words landed like a boulder dropped into still water. Rape? Lydia cried out in shock. She looked from the police to me, disbelief written all over her face. Who reported this? I did. A smug voice came from the doorway. Phineas walked over to Lydia's side, his face full of righteous indignation. Lydia, Dominic is inhuman. I couldn't rest easy last night, so I specifically had someone look into it. The street punk girl Dominic picked up, she's actually a minor. He'd only known her for 1 day and already took her to a hotel. If that's not rape, what is? The evidence is clear. He must face legal consequences. He turned to the police, looking every bit the embodiment of justice. Officer, it's him. We can all testify, he really did take that girl to a hotel last night. Lydia's face instantly drained of all color. Outside the office, the employees who had gathered to watch completely erupted. The murmurs were no longer restrained. My God, a minor. Dominic is disgusting. No wonder the police showed up. This time, he's completely finished. Chapter 6. I looked at the ugliness on Phineas's face, At the blank shock that had overtaken Lydia's expression, and at the surrounding gazes, some stunned, some openly contemptuous, suddenly, I laughed. In the deathly silence, under countless eyes, that laughter sounded especially jarring. I didn't look at Phineas. Instead, I turned my gaze back to Lydia and spoke slowly, word by word. Lydia, do you see it clearly now? This is the excellent assistant you personally hired. Then, I voluntarily extended my hands toward the police. My expression was calm, almost carrying a trace of mocking relief. Let's go, officers. I believe the law will clear my name. As for everything else, my gaze swept past Lydia and Phineas, finally settling on the gray, overcast sky outside the window. Let whatever should end. The moment the cold handcuffs snapped around my wrists, Lydia seemed to be pricked by a needle, suddenly jolting back to her senses. Wait. She stepped forward, looking at the police with a complicated expression. Officer, could there be some kind of misunderstanding here? I'm his fiancée. We're supposed to get married next month. Dominic has worked at the Lynn Group for 5 years. He's always been diligent and responsible. And his character has always been good. Her words faltered slightly, as if last night's events flashed through her mind. But in the end, she still said them. Before the lead officer could respond, Phineas cut in first. President Lynn, at a time like this, you're still defending him. This is absolutely not a misunderstanding. He turned to the police, his tone resolute. Officers, many people in our company can testify, Dominic has always been morally questionable. He paused, as if recalling something shameful, then continued. I've personally seen him multiple times using work as an excuse to sneak glances under female colleagues' skirts and at their thighs. And the intern Zara from the marketing department who resigned earlier, she left because she couldn't stand his harassment. Jesse from administration has also complained privately, saying Director Domi was always getting handsy with her. These things were never spoken openly only because of his position and his relationship with President Lynn. As soon as he finished speaking, several colleagues who were close to him, and who had been present at both the birthday party and the bar the night before, immediately chimed in. That's right. I can testify, Dominic really was kind of like that. Yeah. One time in the pantry he accidentally, cough. Anyway, he deliberately stood way too close. It was really uncomfortable. I never thought he was that kind of person. He always acted so upright. A hypocrite. A pervert. Voices overlapped. Accusations piling on, many mouths melting metal. Gasps and deeper waves of disdain rippled through the onlookers outside the office. With every so-called testimony, Lydia's face grew paler. Dominic, her voice trembled. The words almost forced through clenched teeth. I never imagined that you were this kind of person. It's disgusting. I saw the last trace of light die out in her eyes. Phineas supported Lydia's slightly swaying shoulders at just the right moment, his tone heavy with feigned grief. President Lynn, you see his true face now, don't you? Thank goodness he was exposed early. If you'd only discovered this after actually marrying him, then you'd really have nothing left but tears. This is a blessing in disguise. His words sounded like comfort, but in truth they were a poison-dipped blade, severing any lingering hesitation or residual affection Lydia might still have had. I listened quietly, without defending myself. The police had clearly seen scenes like this many times before and spoke to me in a businesslike tone. Dominic, since a report has been filed and relevant leads have been provided, you must cooperate fully with our investigation. If there truly is a misunderstanding, we will not wrong an innocent person. Now, please come with us. Chapter 7. I nodded and turned around on my own initiative. I let the police escort me as we passed through the crowd, which automatically parted to either side. Behind me came Phineas's gentle, consoling voice. President Lynn, don't be sad. Someone like him isn't worth it. Lydia replied coldly. I'm not sad. From today onward, I have nothing to do with him anymore, and Dominic is fired. A tide of murmurs surged behind us. I really didn't expect this. You never really know someone. President Lynn is so pitiful. Just then, the elevator doors opened. Lydia's father stepped out, beaming, as he led several guests with him. Lydia, this is the chairman of the Chan Group, the leading enterprise in City A. He had barely begun the introduction when his words caught in his throat. He froze in place, staring at the scene before him. Several police officers, me, wearing cold handcuffs, and a crowd of employees with mixed expressions. Lydia, what's going on here? He demanded. Before Lydia could answer, Phineas, like a hunting dog that had caught the scent of an opportunity, immediately squeezed forward. Plastering on a fawning smile, he pointed at me and said to Lydia Lynn's father, Chairman Lynn, you came at just the right time. This Dominic is truly a beast in human skin. Last night was President Lynn's birthday, yet he actually took an underage street punk girl to a hotel. I couldn't stand by and watch, so I called the police. Scum like this must never be tolerated. His voice was impassioned, as if he were the embodiment of justice itself. Lydia's father's expression darkened instantly. His sharp gaze swept over me, then moved to Lydia, whose face had gone pale. Chairman Chan frowned slightly, a calm but assessing look in his steady eyes. At that moment, a petite figure stepped out from behind Chairman Chan. She had removed last night's exaggerated makeup, now dressed simply in a clean t-shirt and jeans, her hair restored to its smooth black color. But that face, those eyes, I recognized them immediately. Jane Chan. At that moment, her face was full of anger, her clear eyes glaring fiercely at Phineas. You're lying. This gentleman didn't touch me at all last night. He booked 2 rooms. I slept in mine. He slept in his. On what grounds are you slandering him? Her crisp voice exploded like a thunderclap in the silent office. The smugness and self-righteousness on Phineas's face froze instantly. Chairman Chan's expression grew grave. He looked at Jane Chan, his tone calm but authoritative. Jane, is what you're saying true? Absolutely true, Grandpa. Jane nodded hard and pointed at me. This Dominic is a good man. He saw that I was young and even advised me to find a proper job and stop hurting myself like that. He even left me money so I could live properly. He's nothing like what that bad man said. She took out the note I had left behind. Cold sweat instantly broke out on Lydia's father's forehead. He looked at me, then at Phineas, and finally his gaze fell on Chairman Chan, whose face had turned steel gray. For a moment, he was speechless. Chairman Chan, there must be some kind of misunderstanding here. The lead officer was experienced and immediately sensed the sharp reversal of the situation. He signaled his colleagues to pause, then walked over to Jane. His tone was serious but gentle. Miss, don't be afraid. Please tell us in detail what happened last night. You're certain Dominic committed no improper acts against you? You slept in separate rooms? I'm certain, Jane replied without hesitation. The hotel front desk can confirm it. He asked for 2 adjacent rooms right from the start. To strengthen her claim, she even gave the hotel's name. The officer immediately sent someone to verify it. The results matched perfectly. The hotel even provided surveillance footage. Finally, Jane produced her ID card. Only then did I realize I hadn't looked closely last night. She wasn't a minor at all. She was already 21. She just had a baby face. Chapter 8. Facts speak louder than words, especially when the facts are this clear and straightforward. The officer's expression darkened. He turned to Phineas, his voice cold and severe. Phineas, you reported that Dominic was suspected of raping a minor. The alleged victim has now personally denied it, and we already have preliminary evidence supporting her statement. How do you explain this? And the conclusive evidence you claimed, what exactly was it based on? Phineas's lips trembled. His eyes darted around in panic, until he finally looked toward Lydia for help. At that moment, Lydia's expression was impossibly complicated. Shock, confusion, shame, and the fury of being deceived all tangled across her face. Assistant Phineas, Lydia's father spoke, his voice heavy with restrained anger. He could no longer allow this farce to offend the Chan family. What is going on here exactly? Speak. Phineas completely lost his composure, stammering incoherently as he tried to defend himself. I just heard it from others. I thought it was true. I was only doing it for President Lin's sake, afraid she'd be deceived, but in the face of ironclad facts, every explanation sounded hollow, even ridiculous. Chairman Chan let out a cold snort, his piercing gaze sweeping over Lydia's father and Phineas. When his eyes finally fell on me, they softened slightly. It seems this was a carefully orchestrated slander. Chairman Lin, the executive assistant your company hired has a serious problem with character. He didn't say much, but every word carried tremendous weight. The police no longer hesitated. The facts were already clear. The lead officer nodded at me, a hint of apology in his eyes. Dominic, we've understood the situation. This was a misunderstanding. You've been wronged. He then gestured to his colleague. The cold handcuffs were removed from my wrists. At that moment, absolute silence fell inside and outside the office. The reversal had come too fast, too dramatically. After the police took Phineas away, the office sank into an eerie stillness. Lydia stood frozen for a long while before slowly turning toward me. Dominic, her voice was hoarse. I'm sorry. I was deceived by Phineas. I misunderstood you. I didn't speak. I just looked at her. My silence seemed to stab her. She stepped closer, her tone growing urgent. I really didn't know he would do something like this. I didn't know Jane was Chairman Chan's granddaughter. What else didn't you know? I cut her off. That Phineas would file a false police report. Or that he would incite colleagues to smear me and turn everyone against me. The few people who had spoken earlier immediately shrank back, cold sweat breaking out on their foreheads. I continued calmly. Let me ask you, if the girl last night had just been an ordinary person, with no Chan family backing her, would you still be standing here today, saying sorry to me? Lydia's face turned deathly pale. She had no answer. Dominic, now that the truth is out, Can't you forgive Lydia? Lydia's father finally couldn't stand it anymore. He frowned, trying to smooth things over. She was misled. Deep down, she must have believed in you. You've been together for so many years, and you're supposed to get married next month. Is it really necessary to cling to such a small matter? Be more generous. A small matter? I laughed, unlocked my phone, and turned the screen toward them. Chairman Lin, please take a look at this first. Then tell me, can this marriage still happen? On the screen was Phineas's social media post from last night. Lydia's pupils contracted violently. All the color drained from her face, even her lips went pale. This is. Lydia's father saw it too. The words stuck in his throat, his old face flushing red, then white. Chairman Chan, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, suddenly let out a short laugh. It wasn't loud, but it struck clearly into everyone's heart. Chairman Lin, it seems your daughter and that assistant Phineas are truly birds of a feather. Their acting skills are both quite impressive. He paused, then spoke decisively. In that case, all cooperation plans we previously discussed are hereby cancelled. Goodbye. Chairman Chan, please wait. Only then did Lydia's father truly panic. He no longer cared about saving face and hurried after him. This is all a misunderstanding, Phineas. That despicable man caused all of this. My daughter is young and ignorant. Please give us another chance. Chairman Chan didn't stop. He left only a cold, indifferent back view. Jane, however, didn't follow immediately. She walked over to me, looked up, her eyes sparkling. Dominic, this place is filthy and suffocating. Do you want to leave with us? I looked into the girl's clear, sincere eyes and smiled. All right, let's go together. Chapter 9. I didn't look at Lydia Lin again, nor did I pay any attention to the hesitation in her father's voice behind me, as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. I turned and left side by side with Jane Chan. As we walked out of the Lin Corporation building, the sunlight was a bit dazzling. Chairman Chan stopped, turned back, and looked at me. There was scrutiny in his gaze, and also appreciation. Dominic, what are your plans next? I answered honestly. I haven't thought about it yet. I'll rest for a while first, Grandpa. Jane tugged at Chairman Chan's sleeve. Dominic is very capable, and he's a good person. Our company is short of talent, isn't it? Chairman Chan shot her a look, but it wasn't a harsh one. Then he turned to me. That child Jane Chan has been spoiled by her parents, but she's not wrong. I've looked into you. Over the past few years, Lin Corporation's rapid rise owes a great deal to you. If you're interested, the doors of Chan Group are open to you. Pick any position you like. Salary at the highest standard. The invitation came suddenly, yet it also made sense. I bowed slightly. Thank you, Chairman Chan, for your kindness. I'll give it serious consideration. No rush. Take your time. Chairman Chan nodded, then glanced again at the Lin Corporation building. Some places really don't deserve true talent. My phone vibrated. It was Lydia calling. Urgent. I didn't answer. I blocked the number directly. A month later, Jane Chan and I returned from abroad. When the plane landed, she was still reluctant to end the trip, pulling me along and saying that next time we should go to Iceland to see the aurora. I nodded and said yes. The day after returning home, I reported to work at Chan Group. Chairman Chan arranged for me to be director of the Strategic Development Department, reporting directly to him. The office was larger than the one I had at Lin Corporation, with a broader view, but what I valued more was the clean atmosphere here. In my first week at work, Lydia came looking for me 3 times. I had security keep her out. The work at Chan Group was busier than I had imagined. Chairman Chan gave me a great deal of authority, and I quickly proved my worth. Within 1 quarter, every project I handled exceeded its targets. The veteran board members who had initially complained about me being parachuted in gradually fell silent. Jane often came to the company to have meals with her grandfather, and she would also stop by my office to sit for a while. She no longer dyed her hair in flashy colors. With a simple ponytail, a t-shirt, and jeans, she looked just like an ordinary college student. Only the occasional flash of cunning in her eyes still carried a hint of her former street punk girl persona. One night when I was working overtime late, she brought me a midnight snack. I put down my documents and casually asked, "How's your graduation thesis coming along?" "Passed with excellence." She looked a little smug. My advisor said my social research was very valuable. I smiled, like pretending to be a street punk girl and finding random men on social apps. That was necessary. She wrinkled her nose, but it really did let me see a lot of people and things I'd never normally encounter. I didn't ask further. Everyone has their own way of growing up. She chose a very unique path, but one that did no harm. News from Lin Corporation still reached my ears from time to time. After Chan Group canceled the partnership, several partners who had been sitting on the fence also withdrew one after another. Lydia's father tried to turn things around, but the company's morale had already collapsed. Phineas's case was sentenced, 1 year and 6 months for false accusation and framing. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, A full year had gone by at Chan Group. At the company's annual gala, Chairman Chan personally presented me with the annual contribution award. Below the stage, Jane was smiling even more happily than I was. After the celebration banquet, I drove her home. The car stopped outside her family's villa, but she didn't rush to get out. My graduation ceremony is next week. Will you come? Of course. She fell silent for a moment, then said, my grandpa said that if you attend my graduation ceremony, it would be best if you do so as my fiancé. I turned my head to look at her. The streetlight shone through the car window, falling on her serious face. All right, I nodded. Her eyes lit up instantly. She leaned over and quickly kissed me on the cheek, then pulled open the car door and ran off. A few days later, there was a business reception I hadn't planned to attend, but the host was a longtime partner of the Chan Group, and Chairman Chan asked me to show up on behalf of the company. I didn't expect to run into Lydia there. She had lost a lot of weight, wearing an out-of-season evening dress, standing alone in a corner. When she saw me, she immediately walked over. Dominic, I was wrong. Tears streamed down her face. Phineas, and everything before that, it was all my fault. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I said nothing. Lin Corporation can barely hold on anymore. She wiped her tears away. My dad is sick. I'm the one propping the company up now. A lot of senior employees have left, and the remaining projects also. I interrupted calmly. May I ask what any of this has to do with me? She suddenly grabbed my wrist. Dominic, can we start over, please? I know you still love me, just like I still love you. We had 5 whole years together. I gently pulled my hand back. Next month, Jane and I are getting married. She froze where she stood, her face turning deathly pale. Jane, that street punk girl. You're marrying someone like that just to get back at me. She is my fiancée. I cut her off. Please show some respect. Lydia's lips trembled as tears kept falling. She looked at me for a long time, and finally understood that there was no turning back. In the end, she staggered away, her figure disappearing into the crowd. At some point, Jane appeared beside me and handed me a glass of champagne. Feeling sorry for her, I took the glass and clinked it against hers. Do you know what I once promised her? What? To find a street punk girl to fall in love with, and love for a lifetime. She laughed, her eyes curving into crescents. A lifetime is very long, Dominic. I know. Jane,